Let your characters tell their story. What the does that mean?
If it fits!
I finally, at 37 years old, completed a first draft of my first screenplay. My past is littered with pages and pages of false starts. I finished writing shorts, 10, 15 pages, and I think I was able to do that because I could crank them out quick enough that the little man in my brain couldn't judge them too harshly. You suck. They also relied more heavily on ideas rather than character. Things like the spectacular 8th birthday of Anthony Trumbull. What if a 30-something-year-old man born on a leap year celebrated his birthday like an 8-year-old? Or things like the Candace and Chris shorts, which are really just hyper-exaggerated versions of me and my wife, so I never had to even think about who those characters were. But putting aside the man in my brain, because that's a whole separate issue as to why I never completed a screenplay before.
You can never put me aside.
The thing that really stopped me was putting idea over character, or I should say not putting enough time and effort into developing my characters before attempting to execute my idea. That was a much longer way to say the same thing. This is how my process would normally go. I would be bopping along with my life when all of a sudden, hey, that's a great idea for a movie. I would outline the major plot points, and then I would get down to writing, and inevitably, well, now what happens? And I had nowhere to go. I was out of ideas, and I would go looking for ways to solve my problem, and people say, just let your characters tell you. Put them in a situation and see what happens. And I would think, are you people out of your minds? What does that mean? And it finally clicked for me when I read Sid Field's screenplay last year for the first time, yes. And he talks about all the character work that needs to be done before you even begin to outline. Of course, I've done things like their goals. What do they want? What do they want out of a scene? What do they need? But I've never actually gone deep into their backstory. So why not? I tried it and spent a couple weeks spending no time on story. There are 5 main characters in the film that I'm writing right now, and I wrote about 5 full pages of backstory for each. How they grew up, what their relationships were like with their parents, what they were, what kind of students they were like, extracurriculars they did, sports, hobbies. I went really in depth for each of them, and then I outlined scene by scene and eventually finished the first draft because guess what? I let the characters tell me their story.
It took you 37 years to figure that out.
I know. I had to understand it in a practical way for my brain. For me, it's about putting in the work, putting in the time to get an in-depth understanding of who these characters are and what they've done in their lives up to the beginning of my story. And again, for me, putting that down on paper was essential so that I have a resource when I get stuck to go back to and let the characters tell me what they would do next. I had to stop thinking of it as this kind of spiritual method acting kind of thing and just make it practical because that is what works for me. So this film that I finished the first draft of is called This Little Piggy, and that's all I'm gonna say about it for now because I'm going to make this film. I don't know when.
Never.
And I don't know how, but this film will get made. And I thought I would document the journey. So these videos will act as a sort of production diary that will culminate in the making of This Little Piggy. Maybe when I'm 60. Who knows? It took me 37 years to finish the first draft, so hopefully I can move a little faster on the rest. But I'm currently working my way through a second draft, running into all new and exciting kinds of problems. But if you made it this far into the video, hey, thanks. Go make something. Hey everyone, and welcome to my end screen. Here you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to turn on alerts, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. You can check out some of my films here, or click on this other thing that I have linked out to. Bye!